My name is Madison Parker. And at my college graduation party, the day that was supposed to celebrate my biggest achievement, my father stood up, raised his glass, and said, "Let's be honest. Olivia is the only child in this family worth celebrating." Flushed heartbreak. The room went silent. My mother laughed. My sister smiled. And I stood there holding my diploma, wondering why I was never enough. But 15 minutes later, a black SUV pulled into the driveway. A stranger stepped out. And what happened next would completely change my family's life forever. My name is Madison Parker. I grew up in Denver, Colorado. My younger sister, Olivia, was the star of our family. She wasn't a bad person. The problem was my parents treated her like royalty. Everything revolved around Olivia, her dance competitions, her cheerleading awards, her social life, her dreams. Meanwhile, I learned how to disappear. I became the quiet child, the responsible child, the child who didn't cause trouble. Unfortunately, responsible children often become invisible. Growing up, my parents constantly compared us. If Olivia earned a B, they celebrated. If I earned an A, they asked why it wasn't an A+. If Olivia made mistakes, she received understanding. If I made mistakes, I received criticism. The pattern never changed. By high school, I stopped expecting praise. I focused on school. Books became my escape. Education became my future. While Olivia spent weekends at parties, I spent weekends studying. Not because I was smarter. Because I understood something early. Nobody was coming to save me. I had to build my own future. So I worked relentlessly. Scholarships, part-time jobs, academic competitions, late nights, early mornings, years of sacrifice. Eventually my hard work paid off. I received a full scholarship to one of the best universities in the state. The moment I opened the acceptance letter, I cried. Not because college was expensive. Because for the first time, I felt seen. Unfortunately, my parents didn't share the excitement. Mom's first question was, "What about Olivia?" Not, "Congratulations." Not, "We're proud of you." Just Olivia. Always Olivia. Still, I left for college determined to succeed. The next 4 years were the hardest of my life. I balanced classes with 2 jobs. Some nights I survived on instant noodles. Some weeks I slept 4 hours a night. But I kept going. Then during my final year, something extraordinary happened. A professor nominated me for a national research competition. Thousands applied. Only 10 students received recognition. I won first place. The award included a prestigious fellowship and a guaranteed position with one of the country's top technology firms after graduation. It was life-changing. The salary alone would completely transform my future. For the first time, everything I sacrificed seemed worth it. Graduation day finally arrived. I walked across the stage. Accepted my diploma. Graduated with highest honors. My heart felt full. For a few hours, anyway. Because later that evening came the graduation party. My parents hosted it in our backyard. Friends, relatives, neighbors, everyone attended. At first things seemed normal. People congratulated me, asked questions about my future, complimented my achievements. Then Olivia arrived. Immediately the attention shifted. As always, within minutes people discussed her latest relationship, her social media following, her upcoming travel plans. My graduation slowly became background noise. I should have expected it. Then came the speeches. The moment everything changed. Dad stood holding a glass of champagne. Guests gathered around. I smiled nervously. Maybe this time would be different. Maybe this time he'd finally say he was proud. Instead, Dad laughed and said, "Let's be honest. Olivia is the only child in this family worth celebrating." The crowd froze. Some people laughed awkwardly. Others looked horrified. I felt my stomach drop. Dad continued, "Madison may have the diploma, but Olivia has personality." More uncomfortable laughter. My face burned. Mom smiled. Olivia looked embarrassed but didn't stop him. Nobody stopped him. I wanted disappearing. Years of hurt crashed over me at once. The comparisons, the neglect, the favoritism, everything. I quietly stepped away from the crowd. Then something unexpected happened. A black SUV pulled into the driveway. Nobody recognized it. The vehicle stopped. A man in a tailored suit stepped out. He looked around before asking, "Is Madison Parker here?" Everyone stared, confused. I raised my hand. The man smiled immediately, then walked directly toward me. "Congratulations, Ms. Parker." The backyard became silent. Then he introduced himself. He was a senior executive from the technology company sponsoring my fellowship. Apparently they wanted surprising me personally. In front of everyone, the executive handed me a folder. Inside sat a contract. A very impressive contract. Starting salary, $240,000 per year. Gasps filled the backyard. Actual gasps. My father nearly dropped his drink. The executive wasn't finished. He explained that my research project had attracted national attention. Several companies expressed interest. The fellowship could eventually lead to leadership opportunities, possibly executive positions. Everything felt surreal. I stood frozen. Meanwhile, relatives suddenly looked at me differently. The same people ignoring me moments earlier now couldn't stop asking questions. Then came another surprise. The executive requested making a brief announcement. He praised my work ethic, my intelligence, my leadership skills. Then he said something unforgettable. "Madison Parker is one of the most promising young professionals we've ever recruited." Silence followed. Complete silence. Because everyone heard it. Especially my parents. The daughter they never celebrated. The daughter they dismissed. The daughter they overlooked. Suddenly became the most impressive person in the yard. Then I noticed something. My father wasn't angry. He looked shocked. Almost confused. As if reality didn't match the story he'd been telling himself for years. The evening ended awkwardly. Guests slowly left. Conversations felt different. People no longer viewed me as Olivia's sister. They viewed Olivia as my sister. For the first time. A few days later, Mom called. Then Dad called. Then more relatives. Everyone suddenly wanted a relationship. Funny how success changes priorities. At first I felt bitter. Then I realized something important. This wasn't about revenge. It was about freedom. Because I no longer needed their validation. I never did. The executive didn't make me valuable. The job offer didn't make me worthy. The diploma didn't make me enough. I was enough before all of it. The achievements simply revealed what had always been there. Months later, I moved across the country and started my new career. Life improved dramatically. New city, new opportunities, new friendships. Most importantly, new confidence. Eventually my relationship with my parents improved. Slowly, painfully, but improvement happened. Dad apologized years later. A real apology. Not excuses. Not explanations. Accountability. And while forgiveness took time, I appreciated the effort. Today, whenever I think about graduation night, I don't remember the insult. I remember the lesson. Sometimes the people who underestimate you the most are simply too distracted by their own expectations to see your potential. That doesn't make them right. And it certainly doesn't make you less valuable. Your worth is not determined by who celebrates you. Some people will overlook your achievements no matter how extraordinary they are. Keep growing anyway. Keep working anyway. One day, the results will speak louder than their opinions ever could. If this story touched your heart, thumbs up, like this video. Bell, subscribe for more emotional family drama stories. Speech balloon, comment below. Have you ever worked hard for something and felt like nobody appreciated it? Crying heart, break graduation cap.